for my Pinterest inspired layout challenge, I found this layout that I liked, and it sort of fit the pictures that I needed to put on the layout. I kind of made them work, I think. So this was on Paper Crafting Emporium. It was easyscrapbooks.com was what it was uploaded as on Pinterest. And here's a closer look to the layout. And I've seen this several times, lots of different places where you had 4x6 photos this way, 4x6 photos that way. And this I thought I could make work. I'm actually going to use 3x4s here and here and here and here, but I think I can make it work, and I can have a big title up in the corner. And then I will have like a basic design that's underneath here. Hi, this is Katie Weeks, your independent, close to my heart maker. So trying to use some of the colors for this weekend's virtual crop on My Scrappy Life with Miranda Weber. The color tones were oranges, reds, yellows, teals, and I thought that the Close to My Heart color Journey was sort of tealish, and it was what I was really hoping to use with some pictures. And I think at least in the pictures and some other places I can pull in some oranges, reds, and yellows as well. I'm using Memory Lane scrapbooking kit, which was available at the end of the summer, and I have scrapbooked a little with it, but not a lot. And I pulled out this specific paper, which had a flower print, and the color that was in here was actually sapphire, but it was so small in the middle of those flowers that I thought I could pull off the Journey in conjunction with this. And the Journey and teals kind of have a blue and green vibe to them. So I pulled out another print, which was this one as well. And I went ahead and cut the frame out of my Journey for both of these. So I have 1-inch borders all the way around. And then I cut out 2 of these with this, I think, sage, and it's a printed tone on tone, and I cut them 11 by 11.5. So it actually won't be fitting inside the frame. I'm going to actually have them come to the middle, but I think the frame itself will give a little bit more stability. And then I'm going to take this yellow print, and I've been debating if I should do it like this or if I should come all the way down. I'm still not sure. I'll decide that as I'm going. If I go all the way down, it gives me that consistent border here and here, or I could chop off another 1/2 inch. I'm still deciding on that. And let me show you my photos. So I went to an in-person crop a few weeks ago, about a month ago, and it was in Akron, and I was invited by my friend Maureen C. Thanks, Maureen, for the invitation to this fun crop. And she had hosted it with 2 of her other scrapbooking friends, and Melanie Geisel was one of them. Giesel, I believe, was one of the other ladies who helped host it. And her upline is Erin Jacobson. So if you are familiar with the Close to My Heart world, Erin was like winner takes all in the US for most of our recognitions this year. So I'll tell you a little bit more of a story behind this picture as we get going. So that's what some of these pictures are from, and I will explain the pictures as I scrapbook them. And like I said, I already gutted this, so I will use this to make additional frames. And I have these pictures trimmed to 3 7/8 by 5 7/8, and then I have the black core, black cardstock, trimmed to 4x6. So I trimmed just the hair off the photos to get that perfect frame, to get a real skinny frame, and then I will do more framing with this. So that's what I have going on. I will have a couple flip-flaps as well. So let me go ahead and start assembling some of the page. I think I will just kind of go down the page so I keep everything in order as I start putting things together. So those are the pictures, and that's what I'm working on. I will warn you, as I'm scrapbooking, my husband is downstairs watching a football game. I think it'll not be too bad, but I'm just warning you in case you hear any outbursts. So I had this scrapbooking weekend scheduled, and my son lives in Akron along with his wife. And so when I was invited to go to a crop that was in Akron, I was all over that because I thought, you know, I could go see my son, I could stay with them, and I ended up actually taking my husband with me so that he could see Cameron and Zamari, and we just had a great time. I met them, you know, like once a day for dinner or something like that, so I was able to see them. The guys were able to watch the Ohio State Notre Dame game together, which that's always fun for them to enjoy football games together, something they look forward to. So it was perfect. It was just the perfect weekend. We had a really good time. So this crop was hosted by Melanie Geisel, and I think you can find her YouTube channel over at Mel's Stamping Gallery, I believe. I will put a link in the description of this video so that you can find her. And also I will put Erin's channel, Crafty Concepts with Erin. I will put her channel in the description below as well. And the other lady that was there that helped host was Laura Pahula. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce her last name. A real sweetheart, and I had never met Laura before, so it was so nice to meet some of these close to my heart makers in person after doing all of the virtual crops kind of like this one for the last several years. It was so fun to meet some of these ladies in person. And of course I knew Maureen from long before the pandemic, but I had not seen Maureen since before the pandemic. So it was so good to spend the weekend with her and get to visit with her. So I'm just making sure that I have these on right. So I'm going to leave a 1/2 inch frame. This is cut 11 by 11.5. I'm going to leave a 1/2 inch frame around the outside, all the way around both of those. So let's go ahead and put some tape runner, and I know I am going to run out. Yep. Look, just as soon as I said it, I knew I was running really low. I have one ready though. Some of my friends tease me because I use so much adhesive, but I like to make sure the books stay together, right? So this Versamat makes it perfect to line these up and make sure I have it on just right. Like, I would not have had to leave this on the frame, but I kind of thought it gave some stability. That cardstock is heavier than the actual close to my heart paper. So again, a 1/2 inch from the top and bottom and all the way up to the inside, leaving a 1/2 inch around the outside borders. And then this one, I have them trimmed right now to 10 by 10. I think I'll go 10 by 9.5. I think I'll cut a 1/2 inch off. I have a trimmer just off camera. So by doing that, I kept the same amount up here, 1.5 inches around. And it kind of mimics still, see how that is like that and like that with the zigzag print. So that was kind of what I was basing mine on. I love working with sketches or kind of scrap lifting things and making it my own. A lot of times I turn the sketches too. Do you guys do that? I might have to trim that just a smidge right there. I'm gonna leave it down and trim it at the end because I've got the whole thing glued to my Versamat. Okay, so next I'm going to bring in my pictures. I don't know if I have quite enough mats. I didn't really count. I just started cutting what I could get out of my things. So I'm actually going to add another picture under here while I was cutting and laying out these pictures. I actually was asking Erin if I could use a picture of her on my layout that was not from this weekend, but that would kind of explain my story. So when I met Erin, I told her, I said, "You're our Triple Crown winner." And she's like, "What?" So Erin loves horses. She's, I believe, a vet tech. And so she loves animals, right? But she has horses of her own. And she likes to ride her horses. And so if you know anything about horses, horse racing, which I don't think she does horse racing, but if you know anything like the 3 big races of the year, if a horse can win all of them and the rider, they will call them a Triple Crown winner. Well, Erin won 3 of the big recognitions for the US market for Close to My Heart this year. And so when we went to this crop, they had these tiny little crowns, like they were like this big, like 3-4 inches maybe, at the spot of all of the Close to My Heart makers and VIP customers, I believe, is who had the crowns. And so I told her I wanted to get a picture of her with 3 crowns because of the 3 big awards that she won this year from the US market. So Erin, if you watch this, you can correct me in the comments. I think her awards were for top sales in the United States, the most VIPs that she added for the United States, and the most added downlines, I think. It was something like that. I'm not completely sure, and I did not have a chance to go back and look up those things, but it was 3 of our really big recognitions, which is absolutely phenomenal for someone to win one of those awards, let alone all 3 of those awards. And I don't know how that would translate over to the other markets with the currency exchange, but if I remember correctly, she might have even won for all of our different markets. I mean, her numbers were just astronomical. It was absolutely phenomenal. And so, you know, when I heard that she was going to be at this weekend. I already wanted to go because I wanted to go see my son in Akron. And then I heard Erin was going to be there, and I knew I was going to get to meet Mel and some of the other ladies that I had seen online. And so I was like, well, certainly, why wouldn't I want to go and meet our close to my heart rock star, right? So I went and had a great time. And it was like crafting with old friends that I had known forever. And really, Maureen here was the only one that I had known in person for very long. And we had scrapbooked together before, but it was so fun to scrapbook with all these ladies and to meet new friends. So when I was getting ready for today's layout, I messaged, oh, you know what? I put this one down on the wrong mat. I need to put something underneath it because I'm going to put this one on a flip flap too. While I was getting ready, I texted her and said, can I use this picture of you so that I can have a picture of you on a horse, because I want to tell my story. Journaling is so important. And I want to tell my story about how I called her our Triple Crown winner. So I have a picture here of Erin on her horse. Isn't that adorable? So I'm going to journal underneath in the flip flap and have this picture underneath there. And this one actually needs to go on the journey, because this one's going in the flip flap and it's going to have a story underneath it. So this one actually needs to be on the bottom. And you know what? I think the best thing to do here would be to go ahead and put my flip flap underneath here. Do you guys do that? I don't know if you use these flip flaps, but I think I want my flip flap on this mat. And if you put them inside your albums, inside your scrapbook, you can actually cut the protectors. Sometimes I put the flip flaps right on my protectors. Sometimes I put my flip flaps right on the protectors. Sometimes I put them right on my page, and then I cut the protector and bring it through. So I think I will just cut my protector and put this one inside there. So let's keep gluing these down. Those, and then this one is going to be another protector. So this one will go in here. I need to put something on the back of this to tell my story. I'm hoping, this is what I'm not sure. I don't know if I can get all of it on that yellow with adding. I might be able to. It's going to be close. It leaves like a little box in here when you do the layout like this, which is what I'm hoping to do. So these two go together. Somebody had taken pictures, I'm not sure who, while we were cropping and doing some things. I believe this picture right here is us in a class. I'm going to put it here so you can see what I'm doing. We were in a class and we were making this little gnome. Isn't she adorable? And Laura had taught that class actually. And this one is, it's one of those things, if you know, you know. So have you been to one of those scrapbooking crops in person and we all work on those plastic tables, and when you stamp on plastic tables, you can't get a good impression. Has that happened to any of you? So when I am at the crops and I'm trying to stamp on at those plastic tables and I cannot get a good impression, I get down on the floor and stamp. Do you see? I've got my Misti down, mini Misti down there, and I am stamping on the floor because the floor is solid as can be. The floor will let me stamp and get a very crisp image. Those plastic tables, not so much. So that's why I go stamp on the floor usually. And they thought that was kind of silly, but that's how I do it. It's how I get my best impressions when I'm not at home on my nice wood heavy table. If you take a bone folder or something and burnish that place where you've put down your flip flap, it makes it transparent. So that's why I bring in my bone folder. And it doesn't matter if you're putting that on the protector, if you're putting it right on your scrapbook page. It's a quick little tip for you. That's how I get my best, cleanest way to put that down. Okay, trying to decide now how much to separate these. I feel like the top right and bottom left should be about the same. So let's put those down and go from there. Was actually hoping my husband would be interrupting me right now and bringing me a Buckeye because he's watching a football game. And if you were at the retreat, you know, whenever the Buckeyes score in our house, we eat a Buckeye. The little chocolate covered peanut butter candy things. And my sister-in-law made us some Buckeyes a few weeks ago when they came. And the ones she made were absolutely delicious. They were phenomenal. So, craving another Buckeye right now. And another touchdown. So I was working on a layout while I was at this crop. And I thought, you know what? I needed to get, I will be adding some journaling on here. I needed to get a video like shot and uploaded if possible that weekend, because otherwise I would be doing it Sunday night late when I returned home from this crop. So I'm like, oh, I wonder if anybody has a camera mount. And bless her heart, Melanie brought her little stand that would hold my camera. This is messing me up. That's not glued down and it's not straight on there. She brought me a mount that I could put at the end of that table that I was working on, and I could actually shoot my video while I was there so that I could work on editing it while I was on my drive home. It was about 2.5, almost 3 hours from where the crop was actually to our house. So this will have journaling underneath here, talking about the Triple Crown winner. Can you see that cute little picture of her with those 3 tiny crowns on? So I'm going to put the story underneath here about calling her the CTMH Triple Crown winner. And up here, I think I want to stamp, I want to stamp a title. And I do have all of the colors that Miranda had for us this weekend. So I have yellows, and in the pictures, I have the orange, the red in my shirt, a few places. There were a few Buckeyes at this, and so a lot of us had on red. And the teal, oh, the yellow, of course. And then this is what I had for my closest thing to teal. I hope that passes, Miranda. And so what I think I'm going to do, this is the title, Paper Crafters with Heart, Weekend Crop. So I might mix in a couple fonts. I certainly want it to come up here in this area. And let me see. I'm thinking this would be like less than, if I do 6 by 6, that is going to be pretty good. Let me trim this down to 6 by 6 and we'll go from there. I don't even know if 6 by 6 will quite fit in my mini Misti. Let's go 5 by 6 actually. That might be safer. I can always take another piece. So something like this up there is what I'm thinking. And I think I will just, oh, you know what I can do while I'm here? I'll go ahead and trim this to 4 by 6 because I'm going to need that for the journaling for the back of this one, right? So that I can have something under there. So let's set these off to the side and see if I can work up anything on my mini Misti. If you are enjoying watching me make this layout and learning some crafty tips, I hope you'll subscribe to me. I am trying my hardest to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of this year. So I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. And if you have enjoyed this, and I would really appreciate it as well. So I am going to make my title say Paper Crafters with Heart Crop. That's what the group that I was scrapbooking with go by, Paper Crafters with Heart. And so I'm going to put that as my title. And I'm bringing in an alphabet from Close to My Heart from a couple years ago. I liked it because it was kind of whimsical. It had both uppercase and lowercase letters. That also makes it easier because there's twice as many letters, and so when you have capitals, you'll have the lowercase as well if that letter is repeated, so you don't have as many passes to go through in the stamping process on that mini Misti. It usually took me, I think all of the times I did it 2 times with the letters, and I inked them up with my Journey stamp pad. So I am spelling out the letters, and some of the letters as I was going through, I couldn't really get them as close to each other as I wanted. So I just kind of figured out how I wanted to overlap them, and I would go back and stamp those letters that overlap on the second pass through. After I had stamped the first set of letters, then I would do a second set that would fill in some of the gaps, if that makes sense, because I had to do several different times to get the whole title anyways. So you see here for paper and then the C for crafters, that's my first time through. I really wanted that E to kind of overlap the P, if that makes sense. And so I went back and I added it for the second set of letters, and then I could reuse the R and the A when I started spelling crafters. And I want to say the F was also one of them that I wanted to overlap with as well. And so it just took me a little bit of time to go through all of these, but I figured you might appreciate it if I could just speed this up a little bit and tell you what I did instead of making you watch the whole process and have it at the slower speed. So that's how I went about stamping my title. I'll let you look at this next pass. It'll make sense as you see me stamp some of the letters over and over. I do, between each set, I took my chamois and I cleaned off my letters after I had stamped it twice. And then I also have like a paper towel holder mounted up underneath my craft table. This is one of those little tiny things I did in my craft room that was a total game changer because I'm always looking for something to grab and kind of wipe up a mess or take the moisture off. Like when I use my stamped chamois here, I don't want those letters wet for the next time that I go to stamp them. I want to pat them dry a little bit. It just gives a better stamped impression and it doesn't look like, you know, that watery look when I stamp the letter for the second time. These letters stick to my finger. They kind of drive me crazy. I'm just fighting with them right here, trying to get them exactly where I want them. And the S that I had on here at the end of Paper Crafters, I actually wanted it upside down. I didn't like it with the big part of the S at the top. I wanted the little part at the top and the bigger part at the bottom. So I just flipped it upside down. You can always make these things your own. You don't have to do it the way that it gets printed on the carrier sheet. You can do it however you want. So I flipped my S upside down and I liked how it fit on my page a little bit better. And so here's some more of that. And I do add some embellishments at the end off camera. I'll give you shots of that too at the end of the video. So I think I did 3 weekend crops in a matter of 4 weekends. So I had a Sodders crop, which is in Archbold, Ohio, with my upline, Deb Butler. She hosts that few times a year, and it's a great time with a lot of friends and a lot of local friends that live around here. And I did that one mid-September. Then I went to this crop the next weekend, and full weekend crops like wipe me out, but I did 2 weekends in a row. I don't know how I did it. And then I skipped a weekend, and then I did a 1-day crop, which I hosted at a local library, and that was a lot of fun, and I'm planning on doing another one of those in January. So I know we're doing this crop virtually with Miranda Weber this weekend. How many of you are doing in-person crops as well? Hopefully everybody's able to get back to some in-person crops. I think it's a lot of fun to do these virtual ones, especially, you know, you can squeeze them in your schedule a little bit easier. If you can't be here the whole time, it's not as big of a deal, and you can catch up if you need to watch the videos later. And then you can always join the Zooms at night. But hopefully most of you are able to join some of these crops. So what I'm doing here is I'm just cutting around the whole title. I did not want a squared off piece of paper. And then kind of like you see when you do, I think it's the offset thing in Cricut, I just matted it with 2 colors, the same colors as I matted on my pictures. The first one was that black core, black cardstock from Close to My Heart, and I've really liked that cardstock. I thought it would just be the same as the regular black cardstock that had the white core. Oh no, it's a little bit different. It has a different feel, but I absolutely love it, and it doesn't, even if your cutter doesn't cut as smooth, you don't get that white distressing show through. So I really like working with this one. And then after I added that thin black border, I went through and I put this on the Journey cardstock. Again, the dark side of our Journey cardstock. and then it matches all of the matting for the photos that I have on this layout. So there's a couple little spots in there that were not as smooth of a cut. It kind of had like almost a little corner when I went there. So I just trimmed those up a little bit. I really love these non-stick micro tip scissors from Close to My Heart. And here I'm decided to bring in, yep, just a little bit of Journey. I think that'll look good. And I ended up off camera adding some embellishments. I added a bunch of banner pieces that come from the sticker sheet from this paper pack Memory Lane that we had a few months ago. And I added some of the Woodgrain flowers that came with one of the bundles that you could get with Memory Lane. And I added that as well. And I think it also had some embellishments that might have been the sparkles that were Journey sparkles from our color of the year, which is Journey this year. So I hope you've enjoyed this. And I'll put a picture at the end of the finished product. But there's the layout. And I'll show you again my inspiration. And I replaced these with 2 3x4 photos instead of portrait 4x6s. And then I have this one that'll have journaling, and this one that flips out and it'll have a little bit of story added to that as well. So that's my challenge. So if you are joining in on the My Scrappy Life weekend virtual crop, then you can do something in this page orientation, kind of like what I used off of this sketch, or you could also find something on your Pinterest board and scrap lift it and post both pictures to the comments in the Facebook group.